comes up again and again from the Taro community, which is, I would say, primarily individual contributors. And they're completely baffled by like, okay, it seems like the leadership team, the VP, basically changed the name of two teams. They collapsed one team into another. And this feels to many of the, junior mid-level ICs that it's like completely nonsensical. It's like some political game they can't quite figure out. And so I'd love for you to demystify that a little bit. When you look at your history at Amazon, what were the common elements of why reorgs happened to begin with? And we can maybe talk about some further consequences of that after.
So most simplistically, the leader was trying to solve some pain they had. The leader was either not able to meet a goal, they didn't have a team that was working on a specific goal, or one of the leaders working from them wasn't doing very well, or they didn't have the right balance of resource. But from them looking down, they have a set of goals they're trying to meet, and somehow the organization was not meeting those. And the shuffle they've done, whether it makes sense to you or not, was them trying to alleviate their problems, them trying to fix their pain. If it doesn't look like it makes sense to you, it's probably because you don't know or you're not seeing what they felt wasn't working. Technical people often look and say, well, we were delivering what we were asked for technically. Generally, the pain may not have been delivery or not, but was it driving the right business outcome? Technical folks often have the drawback that they're looking at, were the results working technical systems? Whereas the leader is often being held accountable to, is the thing making money or is the thing getting users? And so they may be trying to fix money or user problems, and you're looking at, all you did was rename tech teams. Well, I was actually trying to solve the fact that I have a goal to grow at Meta, to grow, clicks 30% or advertising 30% or users 30%, and we grew 12%. That's what I'm trying to fix.
It doesn't help because like one of the things that I have seen as a point of frustration, and I have definitely heard this from many people in Taro, is that there is some element of corporate speak that happens in full force here. It's like, okay, we thank John and Mary for their service, and they're going to go off to this other org, or maybe he had a great career at Amazon. Thank you. He's going to go retire now. And it's like not clear. Is that person getting let go in a nice way, or genuinely they wanted to go spend time with their family, right? And so there's that element of like, I'm not sure how much to trust this internal comms piece, which makes it harder to really take action on it.
Yeah. So I'm laughing because I've often joked that the phrase, Ethan is going to spend more time with his family, is code for Ethan was fired.
Right.
So here's the thing. In a public announcement like that, I can't tell you the truth, because if I tell you the truth, the person I told the truth about will sue me. If I publish something that says we've fired Rahul because Rahul was incompetent, then you immediately file a defamation claim and ask for $7 million, your expected earnings over the rest of your career that I just fucked up. Right. So I have to say something else because I'm doing lawsuit avoidance. And the reason is, even if I've decided you're incompetent and I have this bunch of things where I can talk to you in private and say, well, you didn't deliver this and you didn't deliver this and you didn't deliver this. Those aren't legal proof. They don't rise to a legal standard. They rise to like a business standard. But if you decide to sue, we're going to be in a court. And now my opinion that you didn't deliver has to stand up against your opinion that there were mitigating factors and like some other team didn't do what you needed. And that's messy, and I lose money. Basically, those announcements can never say if someone wasn't good. Therefore, you have to read the tea leaves.
Yeah, that's a really good way of demystifying like why people are so kind of cagey when it comes to this kind of stuff. That's super helpful.
100% lawsuits.
Yeah, lawsuits. It all boils down to lawsuits in America.
It does in America.
So let's talk about the practical application of this, because I think often what I'll hear is, hey, I'm an individual contributor and my manager might have stayed the same. My skip is now different. Like the director I go into, that person has changed completely and I don't know them. They have different priorities. What advice would you have for them when they feel like they're being thrown into a different org or something has changed above them?
Let's say your skip has changed. Couple of things. Is your mission the same or not? So you ask your manager in that case, is our mission the same or are we now trying to do something different? Hopefully the manager knows. If the manager's like, I'm not sure, then, ask the manager to find out. But also, you can ask the manager, I'd like to at least meet our skip. Can you suggest that they do a skip level with me? Can you say, and again, not everybody will ask. So if you have your manager put in word and say, hey, Ethan would really like to meet you, he's one of our top engineers, the skip will take the time. And it's always worth doing that. And in that meeting, you go and say, like, this is what I do, and I'd love to help. Can you explain how what I do fits into our new mission? You're new here. You always phrase it in what's in it for you. And so you say, hey, I want to make sure my work meets your mission. Can you explain what your mission is for my team? Because I want to do work that's good for you. And if you think about it from my side, now I'll turn around. I'm the skip level. Of course, I'm going to love it if you come to me and say, I want to do work that meets your goals. I'm like, yes,
right.
Believe me, do I have work for you? So you'll make me happy. You'll make a good impression. It costs you 30 minutes and you might get actual information about what we're expecting. Because the worst thing you can do is bust your ass technically to ship something. And it turns out the skip's like, oh, damn, I wish I'd have known you were working on that. I would have canceled it. And this happens because the skip is new. They don't know what you're doing. And you're busy working and putting in long nights and hoping to be recognized. Again, work hard and hope to be recognized. And it turns out what I wish instead is I'd known you were doing that because I've told you to stop wasting your time.
At Meta, there was a joke of like, if you have had the same manager for a year, you should be very, very thankful because like reorgs were so frequent, so common, at least at the time I was there.
This is big companies and high growth. Meta would have been very high growth. It's a huge problem. By the way, an ugly truth that we know the facts of from Amazon, they have the data to show that you're statistically provably likely to get a lower rating if your manager changed during the year, because that manager doesn't know you well enough to either have the information or the conviction to fight for you in the ranking. And so industry hasn't figured out how to solve this. Like, yes, Amazon, and I'm sure other companies, it's not specific to Amazon, have the data to show it's true that your manager changing hurts your performance rating, but they don't know what to do about it. Because they can't just say, oh, your manager changed, we should bump your rating this much. Oh, you had 2 manager changes, we should bump it that much. Like, they're not going to do that. And so they don't have a solution. But the problem is documented and real. It's not just your imagination that your manager changing hurts your career. Yeah. It's fact.
Yeah. And actually, maybe we can talk about reorgs in the context of the managers who are watching or the wannabe managers. So if I'm a frontline manager, what are the heuristics you would tell me to look at to determine whether this reorg is good for me or bad for me?
Look, the first way to know if it's good for you or not as a manager is, are you being given more resources or a more important charter? Is your team getting bigger, or are you being put on something that's obviously more critical? For example, if things are taken away from you, that's an almost sure sign it's bad for you and you don't have much trust. As an IC, is it good for you or bad for you? It really is, how is your manager doing? As an IC, if your manager isn't getting the investment, if other managers are being chosen for the bigger roles or the more important stuff, then it means you work for a manager who's seen as average, right? It means you work for an area that's seen as unimportant. Resources flow to the good managers and the important teams. So if your team is getting bigger and your manager is getting resources or getting more opportunity, then you're probably on a good team in a good area and it's good for you. And if that's not happening, it's probably bad.
That's good. That's a really simple, good way of like a reductive yet powerful way of looking at it. Like, is your team growing? Are the resources flowing to your team?